This video is brought to you by Mint Mobile. So this is Samsung's Galaxy S23 Ultra, and it's about 11 months old, almost a year old since it was released. And with the S24 series of devices right around the corner, or if not already released by the time this video is up, is it still worth buying the S23 Ultra in 2024? Or if you already own it, should you keep it or look forward to upgrading? Personally, not knowing anything about the S24 Ultra or the S24 series of devices, the S23 Ultra is still one of the best phones available out there. And with the S24 series coming out, I'm sure this is going to be going down in price big time. So definitely still a device worth considering into this year. So yes, short answer is yes, it's still worth it. But let's go ahead and talk about my experience with the device after about a year. So as far as durability and design, it still looks timeless and clean. It looks very similar to the S22 Ultra. And according to the rumors from what I'm seeing, and I'm sure by the time you're seeing this video, with the phone already announced, the S24 Ultra is supposed to look very similar to this. So the S23 Ultra still looks very simple and clean. It's an elegant looking device. Of course, everyone has their own perspective and own thoughts and own taste in what something looks clean or not. Personally, I think this is a very simple design. You got your matte back glass, and it is using Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2. No scratches or cracks on my personal device. On the front glass is also using Corning Gorilla Glass Victus 2. And I do have minor scratches here and there, but nothing serious or major scratches or gashes. The S23 Ultra has an armor aluminum frame on the outside, which has a glossy finish. And for the S23 Ultra, they flattened out the sides a little bit, and the corners are still a little bit sharp. So with that flatter sides and the flat bottom and tops, it does make the corners just a little bit sharp. I've been trying to use the phone without a case, and I just find those corners to be quite a bit uncomfortable, and they poke into the inside of your palm when you're holding it. But most of the time, I do find myself using a case mainly because the phone is a little bit slippery and it just adds a little bit of protection. So what I've been doing lately is just using the phone without a case when I'm at home. And when I go out and about, I pop a case onto it. My case of choice has been the D-Brand grip case, or I've also been using the Spigen clear case. So on the actual back, the camera lenses just stick out on their own. There's no actual camera bump. And I do have a few scratches here and there on the middle ring of the lenses, but otherwise it's been holding up just fine. You do have your power button and the volume rocker on the right-hand side. On the bottom, you do have your dual firing speakers, which overall sound pretty good in my opinion. You do have USB-C at the bottom, and you do have a physical SIM card slot available at the bottom as well. And I still personally use a physical SIM card on my phone. You do have the ability to use eSIM on the S23 Ultra. And personally, I've had little to no issues with my Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, or mobile data. The only time I ever experience any kind of issue is when I'm transitioning from Wi-Fi to mobile data. It does take a couple of minutes, maybe a minute at most, to transition from that Wi-Fi data to the mobile data, because sometimes I'll be loading up a song on Spotify or Google Maps trying to find something, and it's just taking a while to load. I usually just have to force Wi-Fi to turn off, but otherwise no other issues with lost connections or dropped calls or messages not coming through. Well, speaking of mobile data, have you ever thought to yourself, why the is my phone bill so damn high? Well, I've got you covered with today's video partner, Mint Mobile. So Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for as low as $15 a month. You don't have to sacrifice speed, data, or coverage because they're built on the largest 5G network. And Mint's able to keep prices so low because they actually cut out all the retail stores and the salespeople. They sell directly to you online, so you're able to get yourself set up directly from the comfort of your home. It's as simple as selecting the plan that you want, selecting if you want an eSIM or a physical SIM card. So if your phone isn't eSIM compatible, you are able to get a physical SIM card shipped out to you for free. I personally have been a Mint Mobile customer for about 3 years now, and I've had a great experience able to do pretty much my everyday stuff that I would normally do on my Wi-Fi, on my mobile data, from just browsing social media, watching YouTube videos, streaming music, and using Google Maps and playing games here and there. I'm not able to notice a difference at all from my Wi-Fi to my mobile data. And Mint Mobile also offers a modern family plan with as little as 2 lines, which is exactly what my family does at the moment. They're all set up into a modern family plan. So stop paying more than you have to by using the link down below or scan the QR code on the screen right now. And at this very moment, until the end of January, Mint Mobile is offering any of their plans for just $15 a month. That includes their unlimited plan, which is normally $30 a month. So that's an extra 50% off an already good price. So use the links, scan the QR code, get yourself set up, and let me know down in the comments if you made the switch. And with this being an S23 Ultra, you do have the S Pen built into the device. Personally, I rarely found myself using this on a day-to-day basis. I would say I used it once a week, but it wasn't consistent. So it'd be used for getting precise screenshots. I do enjoy that. So there's sometimes screenshots that you want to take, but you don't want to take a whole screenshot of the photo. You could crop it afterwards, but it's easier just to use an S Pen to select exactly what you want to take a screenshot of. Then you can just quickly take a note on that screenshot if you want to. I don't find myself taking notes on the S23 Ultra at all, because that's the main, I think, core feature that the S Pen is usable for, to take notes, but I personally don't do that on my phone. You are able to also use it as a remote shutter button, so it does have Bluetooth connectivity with the phone, so you're able to prop your phone up somewhere, take the S Pen out, and then use the button on the S Pen to take a photo, which is pretty convenient. I used it once or twice here and there, and it came in clutch when I needed it, but throughout the year, it was only once or twice that I used it. So if you're a previous S Pen user, then obviously you already know what you're about with the S Pen, and you're going to get that same core experience here. But if you've never used it before, I would say it's tough to dictate whether or not you think you use it on a day-to-day basis. I personally think it may be worth trying it out. And if you find yourself never using it, then it might be something to consider looking forward to the next phone you get. I do want to quickly touch on the haptics of the S23 Ultra. Throughout the year, they've just felt mid, if not worse than mid. They don't feel that great in my opinion. It just feels like a vibration. Doesn't feel precise or tactile or crisp when you're actually typing. I prefer to keep the vibration intensity set to very low. I like to have a little bit of vibration and haptic feedback, but otherwise it's set to the lowest possible because it just doesn't feel the best. Something like the Pixel 8 Pro, even the OnePlus 11 and the iPhone all feel much better. Now, as far as biometrics, you do have 2D facial recognition and also an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. Personally, I think both of them work really well. I have little to no issues with both of them, especially if one of them fails, you usually have the other one to back you up. So for me, I mostly just use the facial recognition because it's usually the fastest and quickest. Unless I'm purposely not trying to look at my phone, then I just use my finger and I'm able to unlock it right away. I usually never have any issues. It's pretty quick. It's an ultrasonic one, so it's not going to cause the phone to light up or that little section of the fingerprint sensor to have to light up, so it's usually pretty quick, and you're able to just literally just lightly tap it, and you're also able to use the fingerprint sensor from a completely turned off screen. You don't have to double tap or tap the screen once to show the fingerprint sensor. You just literally hold your finger where that fingerprint sensor is, and then it automatically unlocks it. So it does take a little bit of practice getting used to where it's at, but once you get used to it, it'll just be a natural instinct. The facial recognition is also, I think I said really good, but personally I think it's good. It's definitely not the best available out there. It's not the most secure, definitely either, but it gets the job done. It's convenient is all I can really say with it. I use it personally to just unlock my notifications on the lock screen because you're able to keep your details of your notifications hidden until it recognizes your face, and then it'll show you the details. So that helps you keep it a little bit more secure when it comes to your notification information. But otherwise, I do personally find myself sometimes having issues being able to unlock my device when I'm in a weird angle or if I'm in a very, very low light situation. As far as the display, this is a 6.7-inch 120Hz 1440p dynamic AMOLED display. It's a fantastic display. The peak brightness I think is 1750, which I guess considering what other devices are able to do now, especially the newer ones going into 2024, it's definitely falling a little bit behind, but this display is fantastic. It's phenomenal for watching content, for just scrolling around, for everyday activities. You'll be more than satisfied, if not more than satisfied. You'll be very satisfied with the display experience. Now, I will say Samsung does tend to make their displays a little bit vivid and contrasty. It likes to make the colors pop. Personally, I've slowly been transitioning from that color style to a more natural style. So if you're not a fan of big vivid colors, you're probably not gonna love the S23 Ultra display, but I still think it looks really nice. So if you do love the vividness, then by all means turn on vivid mode. But even if you put it into natural mode, it still looks very vivid. It could be the software as well, that it just makes colors more saturated as well. So I personally recommend using the Eye Comfort Shield, especially also the Enhanced Eye Comfort Shield. It just makes colors a little bit dialed down. It doesn't really make colors pop in your face, which again, that's my personal preference. The display itself is a pretty much box-to-box experience. You do have curved edges on the sides, which the S24 series is supposed to eliminate those edges going forward. So I guess it really depends on if you really don't like them or not. I do occasionally encounter an accidental touch with my palm or with my excess skin that's touching the screen itself when I'm trying to reach something at the very top or at a far side when I'm just using one hand. So it can cause some accidental touches here and there. But personally, I like the feel of the edge, especially when you're using the swipe back gesture. It feels nice and natural. Now, with that said, also, it's tough to install any kind of like cheap tempered glass screen protector. You have to use a more, and not, I wouldn't say advanced or enhanced way of installing your screen protector, but it is a little bit different compared to just easily being able to install one. So I personally don't use a screen protector on my display because of the curved edges. So that's something that it is a positive when it comes to a flat display. You also do have an always on display available. And the whole phone is IP68 water and dust resistant rated as well. So it's good to have that in the back of the mind in case you accidentally drop it in water or something. As far as performance, it does have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 with 12 GB of LPDDR5X RAM and then 256 GB of storage up to a terabyte. Personally, performance is really good. From the day I got it, day one, to today, it's still performing really well. Sure, you may encounter every now and then a hiccup or a delay or some kind of glitch when you're leaving an app. But honestly, even then, the performance is solid and consistent. It's a flagship experience when it comes to the performance. And nowadays, with chipsets on a phone, you just look at how efficient it is. And the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 is pretty efficient, which translates to good battery life, which we'll talk about in the end. But the performance is good. From just scrolling around, doing your everyday activities with just social media apps, shopping apps, watching videos, using the camera, and playing games, the everyday user and more. If you're a heavy user who wants not only a good phone experience, but also a good phone for playing games, a good phone for using your camera a lot, you will be satisfied with the performance of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 on the S23 Ultra. It's phenomenal. Going into 2024, it's still going to be one of the best available out there, and it might be better to get this over a mid-range phone with a mid-range chipset. Where people will be split on whether or not Samsung is for them is going to be the software experience. It is using Android 14 with Samsung's One UI 6.0 skin layered over top. So you do get the main core experience of Android, but Samsung throws in so many other things when it comes to customization and features within One UI. So for example, on the lock screen, you have the ability to change up the clock styles. You can change from having the actual banner showing to just being a little badge. You can have your quick settings, or your quick launchers, I should say, being something else other than just like typical settings. You can have an actual app be one of those apps that you just quickly launch from your lock screen. And then on the home screen, you're able to move apps pretty much anywhere. You can change your grid size to just about any size. Especially if you use an app called Good Lock. There's a ton of other settings and features available in this device, but one of the modules is called Home Up, which allows you to really change the grid size to just about as wide or as narrow as you want it. You're able to stack widgets on your home screen, which allows you to better utilize the space and limit the amount of actual home screen pages that you have. There's the Material You experience, which comes straight from Android itself, which takes the colors from your wallpaper and just applies it to the UI itself, making things look aesthetically pleasing. You have pretty much the exact same notification system at the top. It does look a little bit different compared to other UI experiences because they did make each notification now its own little bubble instead of having it kind of like merged together and just have a line splitting them. It's a look. It kind of looks just like iOS in a way, but it's really your own taste. Your quick settings are changed up a little bit compared to previous One UI experiences. One UI is supposed to really be about a one-handed experience, especially because Samsung makes such big phones that they want to make the UI experience easy to use with one hand. But I feel like they took a step back with the quick settings. And the reason I say that is because they did make the quick settings a little bit more aesthetically pleasing by splitting up the Wi-Fi and the Bluetooth into their own little quick toggles, so those will never get lost. And then same thing with the display controls, so brightness and then eye comfort shield and dark mode are their own little section as well. And then the rest of the quick settings are within the main quick setting toggle panel, but things aren't as low as they were before. It's much harder to reach these quick settings and toggles with one hand than it was ever before. So that's the only bad thing about the One UI notification quick settings. It just doesn't feel like a one-handed experience anymore. It just looks too much like it's trying to be like iOS and be more aesthetically pleasing than it is one-handed friendly. The app drawer itself is also very customizable. So most app drawers is literally just an app drawer where you could potentially change the ordering, but that's about it in some UI experiences. With One UI, you're able to actually make each page their own unique page. So you can move apps between different pages, and then you can also create folders within those pages, so allowing you to further organize your app drawer how you want it to be organized. The only downside you could potentially have is that you do have to swipe left to right, so horizontally, instead of swiping vertically like you would on other app drawers. So as you can see, there's a ton of settings and options, and those were just some of the features that differentiate One UI from a typical stock Pixel launcher experience. Of course, you have a ton of other features and settings available in the advanced settings. So like multitasking, for example, One UI goes crazy for multitasking because they have other features that help make multitasking easier. Number one being that edge bar. Samsung One UI is the best launcher for multitasking, in my opinion, because of the edge bar, a little hidden bar that you swipe over from the left or right, depending on how you have it set up, and you're able to drag and drop apps super easily and seamlessly to quickly start splitting the screen. It's so easy for, say, YouTube and then another app. So any kind of streaming app, put it at the top, watch a video, whatever you're doing, and then scroll at the bottom with 2/3 of your screen, and you'll still have a big screen. So you'll still get a really good experience, a good real estate to be able to scroll that app like if it was just opened up in full screen. You're also able to use windows, so you can have little window pop-ups all over your screen. Personally, I think it's a little too tight for me able to do that. Maybe for a calculator, it's not that bad, but personally, I don't really use windows too much. And you also have the classic picture-in-picture. So for YouTube, again, you can have that little pop-up window around to just watch a video. You also have Samsung DeX on board with both physically connecting your device into a monitor or external display, or using it wirelessly with like a TV. You can wirelessly connect your Samsung phone to a TV with Samsung DeX and just control your TV with your phone itself using it as a trackpad. You have a secured folder available built into the device, which allows you to hide and duplicate applications into this secure third space or second space, I guess you could say. So you can keep business stuff in there, work-related stuff, or private stuff, whatever you want to do, store it all in that secure folder. And of course, you have the Samsung ecosystem and the Google ecosystem. So of course, multiple devices can work with this Samsung device. And if you use specific Samsung products, they work best on the Samsung phone. So things like I've been using the Watch 6 Classic, works perfectly fine with the S23 Ultra. My Galaxy Buds are able to quickly switch between my Galaxy phone, the S23 Ultra, and my tablet. So you'll be able to watch a video on one device and then start listening to music on my phone. Just quickly transition between devices with the audio. You also have Bixby Text and Call, which I think is a pretty underrated feature, which I feel like Samsung should try and promote it a little bit more, but maybe with the Samsung AI. This is again being recorded before the Samsung event. So this could be a feature that's being released with the new S24 Ultra and the S24 series, with some kind of phone call experience, on screen calling experience, where the Bixby or the AI assistant will answer the phone call for you in the background. With the current version on the S23 Ultra, as of again the recording of this video, you're able to have Bixby answer the phone for you, and then you can type out messages or use one of the pre-created prompts to ask the other person on the other line to answer something specifically. And so it'll be Bixby talking to that user instead of you talking to them, and you can just see through text what they're saying. I think it's very convenient if you ever get called from a spam number or an unknown number and you don't actually want to talk to them. You can have Bixby quote unquote answer the phone for you. But those are some of the main things that I just wanted to bring up, because those are the things that I use on my day-to-day basis potentially and matter the most to me personally. So there's a ton of other stuff available within the features, and I'm sure I could make a whole video with One UI talking about the different ways you can customize your device. And I'm sure there's other videos available out there as well. But really, just know with Samsung and One UI, you have a ton of options available out there. Now, as far as software support, you are promised 4 years of major OS updates and 5 years of security updates. And now with it being a year old, it's down to 3 years of major OS updates and then 4 years of security updates. So you still got a lot of life left out of the S23 Ultra. So personally, whether you have it now or looking to buy it now, it's still going to be lasting for quite a long time when it comes to software support. And as far as the cameras, I rarely ever use my cameras too often. Usually it's just point and shoot and get the job done if I want to take a photo of a memory or something. But typically I use like an actual camera to record stuff that I want to. But still, the cameras on the S23 Ultra are fantastic. From the front camera to the back camera, you'll be more than satisfied with the photos and videos that you're able to capture. The best thing I want to say is that the S23 Ultra is one of the most versatile systems available out there. So again, the back cameras, you have like 4 different optical lenses. You have your ultra wide, you have your main wide lens, then you have your 3x telephoto, and then followed by a 10x periscopic zoom. So when it comes to versatility and usage and just the experience, you're gonna love it, because you're gonna feel like you have just so many capabilities, being able to zoom in, zoom out with photos and with videos as well. Videos are capped out at 20x max zoom with 4K. 4K 20x zoom looks kind of rough, but it's still something you have capabilities of using. With photos, you are able to max out at a zoom of 100x. Again, when are you going to use that? Probably rarely, if ever, but the fact that you're able to do it is still pretty cool. And personally, I think the way the photos and videos look is definitely personal taste. For me, I find the S23 Ultra to be a little bit contrasty with the colors, makes things a little bit more vivid to try to make things, pop out. You don't really have to consider editing the photos and videos if you don't want to, because the way Samsung processes things really tailors towards, I want to say, the mass majority, which is the mass majority being those who seem to appreciate a more vivid photo and a more vivid video. So in the end, I really do think the S23 Ultra has such a good camera. It's one of those things that I kind of just forget that I have such a good system in here. And when I whip it out to use it, I'm happy that I have this system on here because it just makes things put in shooting so convenient. So cameras on here are more than great, but again, it may be up to you to decide whether you like the way Samsung processes photos and videos. And Samsung also pushes the limits with 8K video recording. That's one of the new things that they were able to do with this year, or with the S23 Ultra, was 8K 30. Again, that's something that's very niche and specific to a group of people who may actually need that or want to use that. It's more of a gimmick, in my opinion, to be able to say, look what we can do, but it's just something you can try and show off. But personally, I never ever used 8K on the S23 Ultra. Now lastly, battery life. You do have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery on the S23 Ultra. And I will say at first, when you begin to use the phone, you may find that it doesn't last you as long as you probably expect it to last you, but give it time, give it a week, 2 weeks at most, and you'll find that the S23 Ultra will naturally just begin to last a little bit longer. It's just a great phone for battery life. I'm able to get at least, I want to say 16 hours minimum of total usage, up to 24 hours sometimes if I want to say not using my phone heavily or being a light user that day. I usually get anywhere from 3 to 5 hours of screen on time, again, depending on my day. One thing I will complain about is Samsung. What the hell did you do to the battery section of the settings? It used to be perfect. It would show you your usage, your screen on time, your battery usage over the last full charge. Now it does it from the last, it still gives you like the last time you stopped charging and at what percent you stopped charging. But if you click into the settings, it'll just split it up by day. It doesn't tell you anymore over your last full charge. I don't like that. It's so dumb. So as far as charging, you do have 45 watts using the USB-C at the bottom, and it takes about an hour to fully charge, which is not the fastest available out there. It definitely could be faster, but it's also not the slowest. You do also still have wireless charging, I believe capped at 15 watts, and reverse wireless charging as well, which personally I don't really use wireless charging or reverse wireless charging in my day-to-day experience. So in the end, as you can see, I still think the S23 Ultra is still one of the best devices out there. And I really have to be convinced this year with the S24 Ultra series. Again, you guys will probably be seeing what the S24 Ultra has to offer before I even post this video, because again, I don't know what's available out there because the phone hasn't released yet. But I guess we'll find out when it does release. And really, like I said, I have to be convinced. I have to see what's going to happen, what they have up their sleeve, because the rumors are pointing towards a minor refresh, in my opinion. So with that being said, the S23 Ultra is still a very good buy in 2024. No doubt about it. So if you're looking for a brand new phone, buying this phone for around maybe $900 new would probably be a good deal. But I would still wait for the S24 series to come out first, because you may be able to get a good deal with your carrier or something like that, and then see how it compares in pricing to the S23 Ultra. If you're going to be spending maybe $200, $100 more just to get the newer one, definitely just get the newer one. But otherwise, if you're going to be spending a lot more, I would probably just stick with the S23 Ultra in my opinion. And that's before even, again, knowing anything about the phone. So with that being said, hopefully this was helpful. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.